Hello, welcome back to IT Landy Nugget courses. Exercise 2, task 3. We will be creating a Docker file. In this task, we will be using the new Docker file for the API communication with the API app as centralized containerized application. You will be working on the Linux VM without friendly editor basically. So make yourself familiar with Linux, So we will be using the WSL. We will navigate to the API folder, cd two dots, directory, cd content API, and then LL or LS, that will list the content. If you remember in the previous session, we did npm install, npm run, and then this is the content of it basically. So the npm install, you see the second folder, node module, that will install all the modules for us. But the content itself, like the root, the server, the session, the speaker, which is the test, these are from the file we downloaded, which has Node.js from Microsoft, okay? Now, we need to create a Docker file where we're going to specify all the information we need for the deployment. This time, we're going to use vim or vim or vi command. If you are a Linux user, you know this, or you can use nano or other stuff. Yeah. So vi Docker file, creating a file. Now, this is simple. Yeah. Please make yourself familiar with this. Okay, empty file and select I to be insert, escape to exit. Now click on I, you will see a button with showing insert, add it down. Then what you need to do inside the file, yeah? First, we need to add or describe what's going on inside it. If you have something ready, you can copy and paste it. Otherwise, we create a new Docker image from a base image node Argon. The base image has Node.js already installed, yeah, for Ubuntu distribution. Then create a directory on the image where application can be copied. Then copy the source file and then run npm install to utilize the environment and then expose the application 3001, if you remember, for the API and indicate that on your command and click run. Then something like this will look like basically for you, yeah. There are some nice tools you can utilize. We're going to cover that later on at some point, to make it more user friendly for you. But to start with, because this is very basic, yeah, you can see from where we're going to get the image, make a directory, navigate to it, copy the content to the directory, install npm, and then expose the 3000 port. When you finish, click escape, semicolon, WQ, write, quit, yeah? Make sure W, not just semicolon or no colon Q. Otherwise, you don't save anything, yeah? So make sure, save there, exit. Now click LL. You can again cat Dockerfile, that will open the file for us and see the content of it, okay? Just to make sure it is created, yeah? And saved as it should be. You need to do this one every time you do it. So this is really crucial because that Dockerfile will tell us when we deploy what is the configuration of our application. Next task is creating the Docker image. So we created a Docker file where we specify all the information, now the image. In this task, we create the Docker image for the application. One for the API application and another for the web application. Each image will be created via Docker command that's relying on what? On Dockerfile. So Docker image will rely on Dockerfile, yeah? From the WSL type the following command, view Docker image on the VM. List will be empty because we do not have any images. So from the content of the API folder, what we have, the folder contains Dockerfile, which we created earlier. And what we need to do is we need to use this to create the image inside it. So let's start. Execute the Docker build command to produce the image. Then tag the result image with a name, content API. And then the final dot indicate to use Dockerfile in the current directory. Yes, by default. This file is expected to have the name Dockerfile, and it is with dot case sensitive. So docker build hyphen t content hyphen API dot, which means use the Docker file. Okay. Once successfully created, run the Docker image command again. You will see two images, the node image and the container image. Okay. Let's repeat this again. This is really crucial because you can use that one at later on. From the content API folder, which containing the API application files and the new Docker file you created. So navigate there, cd into this directory, run the command below to create Docker image for the API application. This command does the following, yeah? Execute build, it tag it with a 0 or what, sorry, name content hyphen API, t tag, and the dot indicate use the Docker file in the current directory to build the image. And then when you finish, what we have two images, yeah? Next, navigate to the content. So we finish from the API. We will do the same for the web again. Now this one's already, when we download it, has a Docker file, but if it doesn't have, you need to copy the other one to here, yeah? If you view that file, cut into the file, see the content, and then after you view the content, you can type the following command: docker build slash t content hyphen web, similar to the previous one. Yeah, exactly. Docker build hyphen t, that will build the image, and then when you finish, you run basically, you see three images now under the Docker images. Yeah, so we have one for the API, node, and then web. In total, we have three images, something like that. Okay, the node is the Argon. Okay, next we need to run the image. Okay, after we run the image, then that should be the last part. Okay, but for now, you need to make sure you are able to create the images. So let's catch up on this the next session so we can deep dive into that. So I need you to make sure you created the image Docker images for the content hyphen web, content hyphen API, and the node using Dockerfile. So let's recap again. Dockerfile, we created Dockerfile. Under Dockerfile, what we did? Task 3 and 4, yeah? Dockerfile, we specified where we're going to grab the node image, the Argon, yeah? And then we specify the port and the repo. Basically, whatever you need, you specify in the Dockerfile. Then next, we navigated to the API and then created the image by running the docker build hyphen t name dot indicate using Dockerfile inside that directory. Then we did the same thing under the content. In total, we have three images. Thank you for watching, and let's catch up on the running session next.